When you're setting up a stamping activity for kids to use in a group, you need to keep in mind that it needs to be supervised, especially if you teach younger kids or if it's the first times that they're using the stamping. You'll get the best out of the stamping if the activity is supervised, so that you can see what technique the kids are using when they're stamping, and you can correct them if you need to. You need to explicitly teach how to use the stamps, whether that's at the table when you do the activity, or whether that's on the mat when you're doing a group teaching lesson. You probably want to use painting aprons to start with, because the kids can get a bit of ink on their fingers, and you want to avoid getting it on their clothes. Ink wipes off tables pretty easily, so you don't need to worry about that very much. If you're just using the stamps with a small group of kids, and say you have one stamp for each colour, you can just keep the stamp on the ink pad. So you would just have your inks on the table with the lids off, and you would have your stamp on your block already sitting on the ink pad like this. And then the kids would use it, put it back, use them, put them straight back on, and they just have to be reminded to put the right stamp back with the right colour. Otherwise you'll get green ink on your red ink pad and it'll just get a bit mucky. That is one way that you can do it. If you are using more stamps and perhaps you don't have more colours of ink, what you can do is, I find using lids quite helpful, lids or trays. So what I've got here, this is a $5 container from IKEA. Not sure whether that's a bit blurry in the picture. And these containers come in blue or they come in white. And they're really handy storage containers as well. They fit quite a lot in. The lids fit on nicely, and they also stack. So I find that these lids are a really good size, and they're nice and flat as well. They don't have a big sort of lip on them or a big rim that sort of sticks out a lot. So what you can do is I get some scrap paper that I cut down, and I just pop that in the lid like this, and then I pop my ink colour. So this one might be blue, that's the tie there, and then I might also have the football with the blue ink, and maybe also I've set up World's Best Dad on this block, so I might have these 3 stamps with this one ink pad. So what the kids do in that situation is they stamp it, and then they can just pop it back on the paper like that. Someone goes to use the football on their work, and then it can just go stamp down so that it's ready for the next person to pick it up. And same with this one, they stamp it and then it just goes straight down there. So the scrap paper down here will get a bit messy, but that's fine. So if we do the same thing with the red ink pad, I've only got one blue container, so this is one of my white lids from a white container from IKEA. So same thing, put the scrap paper on, put my ink pad in the middle, and maybe this can be for tools, and maybe I'll just use those 2 stamps on that one. And then with this green one I might use another lid, or I might just have that separately if that is the only other stamp that I'm using. Or it can go in a lid like these ones that I showed you. When this scrap paper gets really messy, you can always replace it if you want to, but you don't really need to. So as long as you make sure that the kids put the right stamp back in the right tray with the right colour, then that usually works pretty well. These IKEA containers with the lids are $5 each, and this is the smallest size. There are a couple of larger sizes, but you want to get the smallest size. If you don't live near an IKEA, you can alternatively use small trays, small oven trays, anything like that really. You just want to make sure that it's not too big, because it might take up a bit too much room on your table. And you want to make sure that the kids can reach the stamps. If you've got a large table that you're working on, you may need to pass the trays around a little bit so that all the kids can reach them. You might have a couple of kids working with these stamps with this colour ink pad for a while, and then you might swap and give them the red one while a couple of the other kids get the blue one, something like that.